Hey guys, so I am back with another reading reviews of my music. So this one is definitely different. I felt like the person who wrote it kind of looked at these lyrics and sort of psychoanalyzed me in a way, which was different from anything I had read before about my music. Okay, so this is from Skope Mag, and the writer is named Dan McIntosh. And he's written for some really impressive publications like Paste, and he's been a music reviewer for like over 30 years. So it's kind of cool to get a review from somebody like that. So it goes, Madeline Rosene's everyday existential crisis begins with a simple acoustic guitar part, and then her lovely high singing voice kicks in. It amounts to the unusual combination of big philosophical questions set to soft music. The first line gets right to the point. Is it too much to bear when I overshare? If that's not troubling enough, the song continues with, is it you? Is it me? I don't know what I'm supposed to be. Yes, these are the words of one really confused young woman. The verse concludes with, I don't know anything besides this everyday existential crisis. On the one hand, the listener feels sorry for Rosene. If she's feeling this way every day, then her life must be really hard. Then again, one might respond with the impression that this young lady overthinks life a bit too much. Young people, after all, oftentimes feel like they're in the midst of an existential crisis. It's called growing up. Rosene sings the song with a wise, shall we say it, old-sounding voice. It has a bit of an old-timey feel to it, which makes its philosophical lyrics feel a little out of place at times. Musically, keyboards and string parts soon join in to accompany Rosene on her emotional journey. The way she phrases her dilemma is creative and somewhat unusual. She continues, squint my eyes, nod my head, and make the lights dance, she sings. This is the sound of someone all alone dealing with troubling questions. These aren't the behaviors done with a small group of friends or a crowd. Rather, this is all alone in the bedroom kind of stuff. This tortured artist also sounds to be much too hard on herself sometimes. I don't have a reason or a rhyme. I don't want to waste your time. What kind of monster am I? She asks herself. How could this gentle soul describe herself as a monster? She's a kindly beast, at worst, based upon the way she sounds singing this song. Thankfully, she gives the impression she doesn't want to remain in this state of confusion. Lift my sights from the streets and wake from the trance. She's in a temporary bad dream state, but she wants to break out of that and put her crisis to an end. Also, she's a monster. One imagines she's a pretty one, if that's not an oxymoron. Her voice is so sweet and high, without even the hint of a gruff growl. Gruff growling is what we associate with scary creatures. Unless, of course, she's a monster on the inside. But then, how could she ever hide such a thing that well? Let's hope these feelings are only temporary. If not, then this girl really needs to stop reading so much Camus. Put on a summer dress, go outside in the sun, and pick flowers in your garden. There's too wonderful life to be lived. So don't let an existential crisis hold you back. With that said, though, Rosene deserves kudos for working such a deep concept into a pop song. One can safely say there's no intelligence crisis here. So, yeah, it's a lot. Like I said, I'm really happy to get a review from somebody who's been doing this for so long. But I have to say, like, some of it seemed a little bit... So I really love that he dissected the lyrics so much, because I think, that means he listened to them, which is great for me. I do think that maybe he takes them a little too seriously. I mean, it is a sad, kind of troubling song, but, that doesn't mean I'm a sad, troubled person overall. I think lyricists know that a song can just be a moment in time, even, where you're feeling something very hard and you write about it. Or it can be a lingering feeling that happens occasionally, or for a few seconds every day. Songs aren't so literal in my opinion. Sometimes they are, but in this case, I don't think everyday existential crisis. People shouldn't be concerned about my mental health just based on one song, and I don't have any intention of wearing a sundress and going out into a garden, because I'm not like a gardening type of person. But whatever floats your boat, I guess. he says it has an old-timey feel to it, which makes its philosophical lyrics feel a little out of place at times, which I don't really understand because, I mean, most philosophers are pretty old, the famous ones. But it's really sweet that he said that I'm intelligent. The whole thing overall I think is positive to a degree. And I like how honest it is, and he clearly spent a lot of time with the song, so that makes me happy. But overall, I want every 8-day existential crisis to be about whatever it is about for you, the listener, because as a songwriter, it doesn't really matter what it's about for me at the end of the day. It just has to speak to you and make you feel something. I just felt like sort of the whole thing was a little bit literal, like, what kind of monster am I? I mean, yeah, of course, it's talking about being a monster on the inside and doing things that you don't approve of yourself doing, and, feeling guilt or remorse, and looking at your own behavior and disapproving of it. So yeah, I wasn't referring to myself as an actual scary creature monster. Big shout out to Dan McIntosh for even considering to write about me, and thank you for writing about me and my song. It means the world to me, and thank you for listening so intently. And you can find links to Dan's other reviews below.